Welcome to Excel Magic Tricks 783. Hey, if you want to download this workbook, Excel Magic Tricks 779 to 786, click on the link below the video. Oh, wow, we have an epic video here. This is date functions and formulas. I'm going to show you 17 examples. Hopefully, this will sort of be a one-stop shopping for date functions and formulas. Dates. Here's a column of dates. And if I look up here, it says date. Number format. If I apply the general format, you see that it has a number underneath, a serial number. If I put the number 1 here and apply a date, we see that the first day that Excel knows is 1/1/1900. If I type 2 here and then apply a number formatting, short date, I see 1/2/1900. So I'm going to Control Z on that, undo. One more time, right? So 40585. That's how many days since December 31st, 1899 there are. And that will represent the number 2/11/2011. Now, serial dates are underneath, and we'll do date math later. First couple examples, we're just going to see how to get information from a date. Like we could say use the day function. The day function requires a serial number. If you didn't know that dates were a serial number, you'd be like, what is that? So I'm going to click there, and it will give me a day. Oh, yeah, that's the 11th day in the month. If I double click and send this down, that's all the day function. It gives you a number between 1 and 31. Now, if you wanted the actual name of the day, you'd have to use the text function. Text function requires any value. Knowing that a date is a number actually helps us understand that, comma. And then you have to know custom number formatting. Well, date number formatting is easy. And now you have to put number formatting in double quotes. And I want day, right? So I put D. That would give me 11. DD, that would give me 11. DDD, that would give me, if it's Monday, it would give me MON. And if I put 4 Ds, it will give me the fully spelled out name. So that's Friday. If I had 2 in there, it would give me just Fry. Control Z for undo. I'm going to double click and send that down. So that's the actual day. Now month. Well, sometimes you want to see the month. 1 is January, 2 is February, etc. So you can use the month function. Notice it says serial number. Copy that down. Sometimes people have this as an extra column, and then they can do an easy sum if by month. If you wanted the month spelled out like day over here, you'd use text. I'd give it this value, comma, and then if day is D, what do you think month is? Right, MMMM. And then you can copy it all the way down. Sometimes these two items are used in some product formulas where you add a particular month, and you need to match a word criteria against a serial date. How about year equals, what do you think the name of the year function is? Yeah, it's year. And year will look at a serial number and just give it the year. Same thing as month. Sometimes people add extra columns like this, and then it's easy to do a sum if by year. Now, let's get a little going here. And now, watch this when I scroll over to the side. I can't see that, so I'm going to actually highlight this and freeze it. That way, as I scroll to the side, I'll always see this. View, and then over here, freeze, and freeze the column. So now when I scroll over, no problem. I can see last day of the month. Now, last day of the month, if you have 2007 and 10, there's a built-in function called end of month. In earlier versions, you have to add the data analysis tool pack in under the tools menu data, tools menu add-in, if I can even remember back that far. Awesome function, end of month. You give it a start date, which has to be a serial number, and you just say how many months in the future or in the past. 1 would give us the end of month next month. So it would be after February is March, I think, right? So March. If I give it a 0, that's this month, right? And that's what we want. If you give it a -1, it'll give you last month. So last day of this month would be 0. Now, in earlier versions, or if you run into a computer that doesn't have end of month, it's useful to know how to do this. Now, what we learn here is not going to be applicable much as we go forward in the future because we have end of month. But the tricks we learn here will help us with some more advanced tricks. I'm going to use the date function. Equals date. if I could type. Oh man, I'm having a hard time here. Let's see. Date. All date does is you give it a year, a month, and a day, and it spits out the serial number. So I'm just going to give you an example. 2011, comma, let's say the month is 2, comma, and the day is 11. Right? That's kind of silly there, but that's what it does. You put in those arguments or parameters, and it spits out the serial number formatted as a date. But that's not what we want here. We want the last day of the month. So we're going to use this function to get the year. I'm going to use the year function. That'll dump a 2011 in there. Then I'm going to say the month. That'll dump a 2 in there. Now, here's the trick to getting the last day of the month. I'm going to add 1. Right now it's 2. If I add 1, it sends it to next month. Comma. And now the day. The day is awesome. Because if I put 1, year, sure, it's 11, right? Month, well, it's not 2, it's 3. And if I put a 1, that's a cool way to get the first day next month. But watch this. This argument right here can take positive numbers, zeros, or negatives. So if I give it a 0, well, let me ask you this. If I put in a 1, it's the first of the month. So if I go backwards one number, what it's going to do? This trick gets us to the first day next month. We just add a 0 here, and it goes back 1. So that's a tricky way to get the last day of the month. Now I'm going to double click and send that down. And notice it even knows leap year. I didn't point that out about the end of the month. All right. Also, this argument here can have minus numbers. And sometimes advanced formulas will do tricky things to get a date. And you have to have a minus here. But I'm going to put a 0. Now the first day of next month, well, there's 2 ways. We'll do the end of month. End of month, we have a start day, comma, and this is the first day next month. So what am I going to do? Oh, I can get the last day of this month, right? That's the serial number. So all I have to do is add 1. And then double click and send it down. Now, first day next month, well, we actually just did this, equals date. And then I want this, I want the year. So I'm going to do the year of this, comma, close parenthesis, comma, and then the month of this. And the whole trick is I want to send it to next month. So this is a 2. I add 1. And then comma, the day is simply hard-coded 1. That'll give me first day next month. And then double click and send it down. All right, now what about, there's lots of other tricks we want to see. Vest date. That just means sometimes you have in human resources, you have a column of hire dates. And you want to see when they vest to get their pension. And the criteria for this company is 5 years. We can use the E date. E date is awesome. You give it a start date, comma, and a number of months in the future. Now, end of month always calculates the end of the month. But what's great about eDate is it knows that this is 2/11. So if I give it a 1, it'll give me the 11th next month, right? Or whatever you want. -1, that'll give me the 11th of the prior month. But what do we want here? Notice the argument requires months, and we have years, so no problem. We say that and lock it with the F4 key because I'm going to copy it down. Times 12, and that gives us our months. Control Enter, and there's the vest date. So a column of vest dates from our hire dates. How about work day in the future? So here it is. I need the work day in the future, 16 days in the future. Well, to get, and actually the example for date math is over here. Maybe I should go do this first. Well, no, I won't. I'll just show you. There's a function called workday, and that's all it does. Now, workday. This assumes that Saturday and Sunday are the only weekends. But this new function in 2010 is awesome. Watch this. Start date, comma, days. Remember, the whole point of this is we want an actual date. It's going to deliver a serial number. Here's the start date. That's the number of work days in the future. Now watch this, comma, and this new weekend argument. Absolutely awesome. This solves the problem. In earlier versions before 2010, there were some nasty array formulas to do things like this, or non-array formulas too. But this drop down, and this weekend argument just makes it beautiful. Now I'm going to assume that we have Sunday only. So I'm going to put an 11. That means the only day that it's going to skip over when calculating this future work day is Sunday, comma, and then holidays. You can leave it out if you have holidays. I'm going to click on a single cell. You could highlight a bunch of cells with all the holidays for whatever. But there it is. Holidays, close parentheses, and there it is. It calculates 16 days in the future, given this as the start date. Boom. And I'm going to double click and send it down. I forgot to lock it. Now notice when I copied that down, it's all highlighted. The active cell is right there. I'm going to hit the F2, and I simply forgot to lock one of the cells. Now, I'm editing this in the active cell. So I'm going to go up to here and hit the F4 key to lock the row reference. And then this, I'm going to lock the row reference. To populate all of these highlighted cells with the new edited formulas, I'm going to hold Control and tap Enter. So then you can go down here and see that that worked. Now last Monday, this is going to be the trickiest one we do. Totally awesome. Actually, in video 786 coming up later, we're going to do a chart. And one of the most important tricks is knowing how to calculate last Monday. So for example, this is Friday, right? So I need the Monday before, which would be equals, if this is Friday, like 4 or 5 or something. There it is. So I'd subtract 4 from this. But I certainly don't want to go through and count as I go down and do each hard code these. No way. So how do we do this? Well, first, we got to learn what the weekday function does. Weekday function's totally awesome. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I added a custom number format, Control 1, just like we saw earlier. Custom number format. I'm going to leave all that junk out here. It just shows DDD, MMM, DD, YY. So we saw it just a moment ago in the text function, but you can certainly do it in the Format Cells dialog box under the Number tab, Custom, and then type it out, and that's what you see. That serial number is still under there, though. All right, what does weekday do? It's going to tell us either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or in some cases, Sunday is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5. And in other cases, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. The weekday will ask us which one we want. So weekday, serial number, here it is, comma, and this is awesome in 2010. Another beautiful drop down with all these amazing options. So 1, if you put a 1 here, it's 1 to 7. If you put a 2, it's Sunday is 1 through Saturday is 7. If you put a 2, Monday is 1, Sunday is 7. And this is the one we want for last Monday. 0 for Monday, 6 for Sunday. So I'm going to type a 3. And double click and send this down. Now think about this. What are we going to do? I need last Monday. If I have Friday, how many days do I need to subtract to get back to Monday? 4. How many, and in fact, we could do a little trick here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do the day function here, equals day. And I'm going to click on this first one, and I'm going to populate all. There's 2 things here. I'm not going to type that in because you don't need it. It'll put it in automatically. And I have the active cell with the formula, and I want to populate all these, so Control Enter. I did one too many. Now, 16, 17, 18, that's what the day function delivers. So on this particular day, Monday is 16. But I want to have a column full of Mondays. So here's what we do. We do this minus weekday. I want the weekday international. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, I got confused there. I just want the weekday. And because it doesn't need the international. It just gives us a single number. Serial number, I'm going to say this one right here, comma, and then that 3. Now, right now, think about what does this do? It's looking at Monday, so it subtracts a 0. But when I copy it down, this one's going to subtract a 1, a 2, a 3, just as we see up here. So this is the whole trick. That's custom number formatting there. I'm going to get rid of that. Over here, there's custom number format. I'm going to get general. What it did is the formula sucked the number format from there. You can either go general here or Control Shift tilde. Control Control plus Shift plus, and this little tilde, or grave accent, right? That's the keyboard shortcut to go back to General. Ooh, and I got that green. I don't want any of that. And now look at this. There's a bunch of 16s. And that is the conceptual trick. I'm going to have to do day minus weekday to get a bunch of 16s to show Mondays. And really, last Monday, important for some charting tricks. Again, we'll see this later. So you ready? We'll see it later. Ready? We're going to do date. Oh, I need the year, so I'm going to use the year function. Comma, I need the month. That's just our month right here. And then I need day, comma, day minus weekday, comma, weekday. And then I'm going to click right there, comma 3. Now that comma 3, you know, I remember when I first learned about weekday and I didn't know this cool trick. I learned it from the Mr. Excel message board. But I was like, 0? Who wants a 0? Like, this is the perfect reason for it. All right, so I'm going to close parentheses. I put a comma there. All right, so there we go. And it will give us Mondays all the way down. So this is Monday 7. This is the prior Monday, right? So any one of these date inputs is just telling me the Monday from before. All right, let's keep going over here. A couple more date tricks. All right, so this one, I should have done this one at the beginning. This is just basic dates. Since these are serial numbers, I need to figure out the number of days between two dates, right? This is used in invoicing a lot. Here's the due date. Here's today. How many days late is this? So equals, and it's always the later date minus the earlier date, or n minus begin. Sometimes when you do this formula, especially in earlier versions, it'll suck the format, so then you have to apply general. But in later versions, they fix that. So I'm going to double click, and there it is. It tells me how many days between two dates. All sorts of date calculations require that you calculate the number of days between two dates. How long was a project? How late is this invoice, et cetera, et cetera. Now let's do project date. And this one will change it up a little bit. I'll say later minus earlier, but what's the problem here? This, since these are numbers underneath, it's subtracting it. It's never going to include this first date. But for projects, you often want to include it. So what do? +1. That's the number of the days it took for this project. Now net working days. We're going to look at another awesome new function, because yes, sure enough, this is a project, right? And these are all the days. But what if we didn't work on Sunday or Saturday or Sunday or Monday or whatever? Equals net working. Just like, well, so this is from earlier versions. This is the new one. Earlier versions just assume Saturday and Sunday. This one, you have the option. So I'm going to do a start date. Start date. So I'm going to do that one, comma, and then end date, comma. Oh, look at this awesome drop down. There is our choice. And I'm going to say Sunday only. Could be Friday, Saturday, whichever weekend you have. And there you have it, Sunday, comma, and holidays. And I'm kind of want that, so I'm going to drag it. And notice I'm dragging a bunch of cells, even though they're blank. That way, if I have more holidays later, I can do that. Now I need to lock these. I'm going to hit F4 and then close parentheses. And then double click and send it down. That is just awesome. So net working days between two dates. All right, that was 17 date tricks. All right, we'll see you next trick.